But remember, what's on this phone can wreck your home. The choice is yours. Leave it alone.
Hey y'all, welcome back to Chelsea's Live Line. If you're new to the channel, I appreciate you. If you're at day one, thank you for being here. I appreciate your continuous support. We're trying to increase the spirituality and mentality of our community because if we don't do it, who will? That's why I'm doing this episode today. It's extremely important for us to analyze where we're going wrong in our community and try to fix it by approaching these topics from a logical perspective and taking the emotion away from it. It doesn't help when we're thinking with feelings because it's supposed to be facts over feelings. That's what it's supposed to be. But do we think that way? Most of the time, no. Let's get into this video I decided to review today and do a reaction to, which is Vonda Evans here. Vonda Evans is a judge. That's what she does. However, she decided to make a video, which was posted by Spiritual Word, talking about relationships and what women should not do in relationships.
Please, don't let that phone wreck your home. So many times women want to find out, well, who's he talking to? What's he doing? Listen. If a man is a good provider and a good father, stop worrying about what he is doing. As my father once said, that if you go looking for trouble, you're going to find it. And then what you're going to do when you get a hold of it, take that extra time that you want to snoop and invest it in yourself. Go work out, work with your children, make your home a pleasant place for you to be and for your children to be. Listen, you cannot miss what you cannot measure. Stop going to look for trouble, because what you're going to do is you're going to give the keys to your kingdom to the outside woman. Let that cleanup woman stay out there. That's her job, to clean up the leftovers. But remember, what's on this phone can wreck your home. The choice is yours. Leave it alone.
Do y'all agree or disagree? Let me know in the comments as I talk about my points and what I think she could have done better in regards to this particular video. I'm going to get into what I thought that Vonda Evans could do better or could have said to make this approach make sense for everyone. She mentioned the biggest point in her video, which was a phone will wreck our homes. Don't let that phone wreck our homes. A phone is meant for communication. It's up to the user of that phone to wreck or to not wreck that home. But you cannot blame it on the phone. See, we blame the platform instead of the person that's using that platform, that's abusing that platform. That's where we have the problem. There is no way that a phone can wreck someone's home. It's the person that's using that phone. And most times, 9 times out of 10, a woman or a man knows if their significant other cannot be trusted. They've gone through the trials and tribulations and they stayed for that longevity. I can speak about it. The fact that I stayed in a relationship in the past because I believed in longevity. I saw something I didn't like, but what did I do with that? I argued, I complained at that time, and I still stayed with that person, even though they did that and I forgave them. But really, that stuff can linger on if you don't deal with the root of the problem itself. That's why I'm speaking from experience. These are lessons I've learned, and I want to share that with you, ladies and gentlemen. Therefore, you can be able to grow. What I've learned through my relationships is that you have to make sure that that person is trustworthy. As soon as they do something that's going to make your trust null and void, right? What are you going to do in that case? As she had mentioned in the video, she said, are you going to stay or what? Because more times than not, we usually end up staying with that person instead of leaving with the dignity that we have. And then that dignity decreases and decreases until you don't have any self-worth anymore because you've given it to someone who did not appreciate it. Therefore, you're depleted of that self-worth. We have to learn to leave with the dignity that we have. Vonda Evans, Judge Vonda Evans, in this video mentioned that as long as a man is a good provider and a good father, we shouldn't worry about what else he's doing. That doesn't sound like a man that's balanced, and that sounds like a woman who's blindly being led by someone. Being a good provider, that's just financial for the most part. And being a good father, that has nothing to do with me as a woman. What about my needs per se? What happened to that? Because it's supposed to be a priest, a protector, and a provider, right? Protect my heart. You don't have to just protect me just physically, but protect my heart from any nonsense that you know would make me mad at you. You know that would be disrespectful towards me. But she said as long as that man is a good provider and a good father to children, that should be enough to let him do what he wants to do pretty much. I think it's so important to not go into a relationship without really knowing that person, even though only time can be able to tell. However, I say 3 to 6 months is a good starting point for us to be able to vet individuals. Take the time out to really get to know them. This is why we have to vet properly. I've said it on previous episodes and I'm going to share it with y'all again. Stop asking men what their favorite color is and start asking them who do they believe in. Start asking them how often do they pray? How often do they go to church? Start asking them, do you have a therapist? Are you willing to get one if times get rough? And start asking them, are you paying your bills on time? Do you have any debts? Are you financially stable? Because stable doesn't mean that you have to pay every single one of my bills, but stable means that you know what to do when a check comes your way. Okay, so that's what stability means. I think that women should be paying attention to what their significant other does. We have so many different outlets out here today. I really pay attention to a man and the relationships he has, right? In his single season. I'm observing a man during his single season. That's really just a forecast to let me know what that man is going to do during the relationship season when we're together as one, right? If I see that he has a lot of female friends right now and that's something I'm not comfortable with, I'm not even going to try to negotiate with him about the fact that I think that he has too many female friends. That's not for me to negotiate. My goal is to not change a man. I would like for that man to think that he should change for me if necessary. But when we take a man and try to shape shift this man into the bae that you want, it determines that that man is going to end up resenting you. Ladies, sometimes we take a man out of the vetting process too early and go into the relationship stage while he's not even ready. He's not even been processed yet. Like that's the equivalent of taking a cake, taking it out the oven 5 to 10 minutes early and it's still gooey inside. It looks good on the outside, but it's not ready on the inside. I'm just saying. Let's just think about the easy bake oven days, right? They told us how much time we needed to be able to make sure that cake looked right. Make sure those brownies were tasting right. You take that bad boy out the oven, it look okay on the outside, but it'll fool you when it's all chewy and hard on the inside. That's the same thing that's going on today, where we're so quick to say that man is fine. That man is fine, that man is fine. Is he mentally fine though? Is he financially fine? Is he spiritually fine? Is he emotionally fine? All of that makes a whole man. Otherwise, we come in with literally fractions of a man, 1/4 of a man, because he's not balanced in every area of his life. You take him, he says he has a lot of female friends. You think that's okay because he looks good on the outside and he's saying the right words to you. Little do you know is that he's texting those female friends while he's supposed to be getting to know you, trying to balance the two out. No, sir, you cannot have your cake and eat it too. And no, ma'am, you cannot have your cake and eat it too if you're a man and you're going through the same situation on the flip side. Another thing I look for is the fact if a man is attached to his exes. He says all his exes are his friends. They're put in the friend zone. Again, I don't believe in demotion because if we don't believe in demotion when it comes to our careers, we definitely shouldn't agree to demotion as it relates to our relationships, to life goals, period. Why accept that demotion? But many women do because they want to be kept on the back burner while they see their man that they were with going through other women. And that's acceptable to them. I'm not trying to keep up and I don't want to live that lifestyle. That's why I say when I see a man who says he has exes as a friend, I don't even bother communicating with you because you have to have enough self-respect for yourself to not be codependent on people of the past. As my guy Jermaine from That Christian Fam says, these people are ghosts. So why are you being attached to them? In addition, I say that, hey, I'm not keeping in contact with my exes. So I would like that you would respect me enough to not keep in contact with yours and holding on to memories, going down memory lane like Minnie Riperton for my old school folks out there. There has to be a moment in which you let go of the past because Proverbs 26:11 says, as a dog returns to its vomit, so does a fool repeat his folly. A fool keeps repeating his mistakes because he never let go of the past mistakes that he did. He's holding on and repeating those. It's on a cycle like a washing machine. It's not going anywhere. Just the same results, different day. That's why I say it's so important for men and women to really let go of what didn't help you, what didn't heal you. You can't go back to what broke you and expect that same person that broke you to heal you. That's backwards thinking. But we think that in the community as a way to say, I'm going to have my cake and I'm going to eat it too. Well, at the end of the day, you're never going to be filled because God says you got to come to me to be able to feel that thirst. But you're going back to man to have them feel that thirst that really only God can fulfill. Only God can supply that thirst that you've been wanting. But you go back to that vomit thinking that it looks good because it's in a package. Don't we love what looks prized up? Don't we love what looks good on the outside because it's got the bow on it? But as soon as you take that bow down and everything just breaks down right in front of you and it doesn't look good. That's why we are in the situations we're in as well. Because somebody's providing for me financially. Somebody's a good father that makes that person good enough to be with, good enough to stay with, even though they are doing stuff behind the scenes. That's why I make so much emphasis on the fact that we have to pay attention to what people are doing behind the scenes right now. Do not dismiss how a man moves when he's single. Do not dismiss how a woman moves when she is single. What is she doing? Is she being productive? Is she meeting God's purpose for her life? Is she being diligent as it relates to the tasks that have been assigned to her? Is she a procrastinator? Nobody wants to be bothered with that as well. Stop holding on to that vomit. Nobody wants to look at it. I don't. If I had to vomit in real life, I'm not going to look at it then. So why would I want to go back to looking at vomit that appears in a different form? She said that women, instead of snooping, and why do you call it snooping? Because as soon as you get married, that person is one with you. We are one. If you disrespected me, you disrespecting yourself as well at the end of the day, because we signed up for this. We created that covenant with God in marriage. There's no snooping in that case. It is what it is. There's no snooping. I'm trying to be informed, because if a person's not transparent with you, what other sources do you have to be able to look and see what's going on? I'm going to ask you, if you give me an answer that makes me trust you, it makes me believe that what you're saying is valid, then I have no reason to look in your phone, because I'm not trying to do that. That does take away time from our livelihoods. It keeps us on edge every time you get a text. I never want to have to go through that again, where I have to worry about, oh, I see somebody send a text to you. Who is that? What's going on? No, I don't want to have to be like that. I want to be at peace, knowing that whoever's texting you, you are communicating with me to let me know, oh, that's my female friend such and such, if you have female friends. Or that is my coworker, or whatever the case may be. But there has to be open communication, because as soon as those lines get crossed and wires get crossed, then that signal may not be getting transmitted to the right destination. The signals could be off. That's all I have to say. Keep the lines of communication open with your significant other. Even this social media, I'm going to get into it real quick. I must say that people have gone out of their way to make themselves look like one thing on one platform, but on a totally different platform, they are living a false life, following all different types of vulgar women and men, claiming to be a Christian, and somebody needs to call it out. I'm not going to do that on this episode per se, but y'all need to face reality that some of the people y'all following are not aligned with the mission that God has for your life, and y'all going to have to do something about that. That's another reason that the woman might be snooping, because she sees something she don't like. Or that man might be snooping because he sees something he doesn't like. What are you going to do when they approach you on that? Are you going to say they're insecure? That's what we quickly throw out that insecure card, thinking that's another way to just forget about what that person says. No, take into account when somebody has a concern. That's called being selfless. One point that Vonda Evans made that I can resonate with is that she said, instead of the snooping, make sure that you're making yourself look like that woman that man signed up to be with. I'm not going to call it out yet. I can do that on a future episode coming soon, so make sure y'all look out for that. But until this moment, I'm going to say this. However you got him is how you're going to have to keep him. I'm talking about weights, trying to maintain that for yourself, get you a trainer, get you an online coach, because there's always some progress to be made. Nobody's body is perfect. Even the ones who have bought their bodies, it's not perfect. That's the first thing. We want to just let go because we say we got them. I say do the minimum to get the maximum at the beginning. What I'm saying is that don't go overboard with the beauty, because he's going to expect you to keep that up. Now you done went overboard with the initial meetups. Now you looking like somebody mammy, and then now he bored. See, this is what I'm talking about. Don't set yourself up for failure doing something you can't keep up with. So that's when he started looking for somebody else, because you gave a false representative. You catfished him, basically. That's what you did. That's why I say, hey, these men are following a lot of these women on social media nowadays. I see that are not Christian women, but they following them because they're looking for whatever you presented. See, with social media, it gives you the chance to really hide your lifestyle, because nobody's really going through following lists. But like I said, I pay attention to it all. So I see where it's a lot of men out here following these Lalas, the Nicki Minaj's, and whoever else they can follow. But your wife or your girlfriend doesn't look like that. No wonder she's snooping through the phone, trying to figure out who you talking to, because it don't make sense. The math ain't mathing, okay? And the Christian ain't doing his job at the end of the day. You can say all these verses and whatnot all you want, but at the end of the day, what matters is the fact that your lifestyle has to align on all platforms. Otherwise, that woman is going to be snooping, and it's going to be causing her a lot of stress. And when she starts snapping on you, what you going to do, because you set her up for that, right? It's two sides to it. A woman could be snooping, but ask her why she's snooping. Ask her why. Have you lost her trust? Have you lost it? And if you haven't, salute to you. If you really respecting your wife or your girlfriend that you with, salute to you, because it's a lot of people out here playing games. And that's why sometimes you have to stay in your lane. Shout out to my big sis LaTanya for that. We got to stay in our lanes. We too busy worrying about what everybody else doing, but we got to stay in our own lane because we got stuff to work on. One of the last points she mentioned is that a woman, when she's snooping through a man's phone, is going to give her keys, these keys right here, give her keys away to another woman. Give her keys to her kingdom away to another woman. A woman doesn't have a kingdom. Her man has a kingdom that he has shared with her. That's the first thing. A woman can't give away what wasn't hers from the get-go. That's another thing. A woman can't be able to give away a man that never wanted to be given away. That man had to make that choice to be given away. That's all I have to say. We're going to watch this clip one more time together. The main thing I want to say is that we need to go back to the reason why women are looking through phones. The reason why men are getting triggered when women do look through phones. There's two aspects of it. There are trust issues on both sides. Let's talk about it.
Ladies, don't let that phone wreck your home. So many times women want to find out, well, who's he talking to? What's he doing? Listen, if a man is a good provider and a good father, stop worrying about what he is doing. As my father once said, that if you go looking for trouble, you're going to find it. And then what you're going to do when you get a hold of it, take that extra time that you want to snoop and invest it in yourself. Go work out. Work with your children. Make your home a pleasant place for you to be and for your children to be. Listen, you cannot miss what you cannot measure. Stop going to look for trouble, because what you're going to do is you're going to give the keys to your kingdom to the outside woman. Let that cleanup woman stay out there. That's her job, to clean up the leftovers. But remember, what's on this phone can wreck your home. The choice is yours. Leave it alone.
It can wreck the home, but again, that man has to choose to wreck that home. It was a decision he made to wreck that home. Vonda does have some good points where she mentions that, yes, we have to be productive with our time. That's extremely important, as we all know, being productive with our times. But again, if a man isn't trustworthy and he gives you an edge to want to check a phone on a consistent basis, then it's time for you to move on. I'm going to just keep it real right there. Move on from that man, because it's really going to hurt you more than it's going to do anything else. It's going to create mental damage within you where you're not going to be able to trust any other man that you see. And that's where we have a problem. That's why I always talk about therapy, because if we don't have any therapy, if we don't have any outlets, then we're going to hold all that in. And that's why I say first and foremost, before therapy, because I have a therapist, but she's a spiritual therapist where she believes in God. We reference verses and whatnot, and we see how that applies to my life. However, the first and foremost is having that relationship with God, knowing that you shouldn't stay in something that isn't pleasing to God first and foremost, because you're disrespecting your father. And if you're disrespecting him, then that means you're obviously disrespecting yourself, and you're disrespecting everything else that comes your way, because your ex is going to block you from your next when you got so much damage that you can't move on because of that vomit that you think is appealing. Since whenever did we want to serve vomit up on a plate and think it's acceptable to eat and eat and eat? But because this person is in a different form, we think it's acceptable. We have to stop going back, because we know that when we go back, it just becomes a Ferris wheel. We go up, we go around, go back down, come back up, go back down again. It ain't even a roller coaster, because it's a Ferris wheel. It's an extremely slow process, but it continuously gives you the same outcome until you become fed up. You on the bottom trying to figure out how to get to the top again, and the ride don't stop. It don't stop on you. What are you going to do in this lifetime? Please do not waste your time, because most of the times we will waste our years with men that we know are not trustworthy. We put up with it just because we want to have a man during the holidays. We're desperate for fake love. We don't even want the real thing anymore because maybe we haven't seen that model of it. However, I know what I see on social media and I see on different platforms. It's not real love. It's filtered love. It's fake love. And I don't want no parts of it. That's why I'm going to continue to love me. We want to call the self-love term toxic, but I don't think it's toxic when it's used in the right way. When you know you have a standard in which you want to set and you want to live by, you have that foundation, because no man can build his house on sand unless he want to be a fool. I'm not going to be a fool. I'm going to take my time and do it right. Baby, we can do it. Take our time. Do it right. We can do it, baby. Do it tonight. Take your time. Let's take our time and not be so rushed for the express love. We know that the best meals are produced in the oven or on the stove and not the microwave. We can't be in this microwave society where we want it and I want it now. It's my relationship and I want it now. No, you got to let that want you. You got stuff to do. I got so much to do. I don't want you to be in that scenario, ladies, where you have to participate in the early check-in, late checkout. And let me break that down for y'all right now. Early check-in, late checkout. Let's say that this man checks into your life early on. You 25, for example. This man checks into your life. He reaps all those youthful benefits that you have, produces children with you, feeds you with some of those false lies that sounded good, but we had to read between those lies. He continues to string you along for years and years. You're talking about marriage. He's not talking about it now because he's not ready, but he reproduced with you. So he was ready for that, which is even more serious to me, reproducing another human being. I mean, he decides to string you along throughout the years, and you keep saying, hey, I'm fine with that. He even gives you false hope. He even starts communicating with other women, but you say, oh, no, it's okay. I trust him. Even though you're saying that to yourself just so you can believe it. That's where we have to realize that stop trying to fool yourself. If you're fooling yourself, then somebody else is going to fool you too and think it's okay because you did it to yourself. Whatever we do to ourselves, we also allow for another person to do to us. Judge Vonda Evans had some pretty good points. However, there were some hit or miss marks that I obviously went over today, just letting y'all know that a woman should not be afraid to snoop through a man's phone. And really, it's not even a snoop. It's just a, hey, update me. What's going on in your life? Who been contacting you? Who have you been communicating with? Because when you left out the loop, that's when somebody else can get in that loop. Women should not be afraid to look through a man's phone, especially if they are married. Let me say that. If they're married, they should not be afraid to look through a man's phone. I think that during the vetting stages, during the relationship stages, a woman shouldn't have to look through a man's phone only because of the fact that there should be transparency. If you feel that you got a gut feeling about a woman texting your man, communicating with your man, it's because your man allowed it. Don't go try to fight that woman. Don't go try to talk smack to that woman. The man allowed it. Therefore, you see that a man has disrespected you and allowed a woman that you don't even know about to get his contact information, to communicate with him, and even go out to lunch with him or just overstep boundaries. It's because maybe y'all don't have the right foundation set up. Y'all didn't talk about the boundaries. Y'all didn't create a covenant or a contract to follow by. Or it's the fact that he don't care. He willing to disrespect you. What you gonna do, like Vonda Evans said, what you gonna do when you find that out? Are you gonna stay and say, well, one time, then he does it again. Well, if you do this one more time, I'm going to leave. And we repeat that over and over like a song, just on cue. As soon as he does something to disrespect you, you're going to go back to him. And that's where we got to realign ourselves, because we quick to check somebody at work that disrespect us, but we're not quick to check people when they disrespect us in relationships. We allow it to happen because we're longing for something. Again, only God can fulfill. Only God can fulfill our needs that we have. But we go into that man and hoping that he will be able to fulfill something that only God can. Because that man is not going to make you happier than you already are. That's why I say be complete in who you are. Know who you are. Know your value. Because you are far more precious than rubies. And if you really want to be that Proverbs 31 wife one day, then you're going to make sure that that man is treating you like a wife before you get that ring and before you say I do to him. If you have any type of worry about a man or any doubt about a man, and you think that he's doing something behind your back, then that's too much in itself. That's too much stress that's going to increase only as time progresses. Because if you have worries in the relationship phase, you're going to have worries in the marriage phase as well. It doesn't just go away when y'all say I do. I'm not speaking from experience, but I know from people saying that it only gets worse if you don't address the issues right then and there. You get the pre-marriage counseling. You don't get the counseling during the marriage. You can get that too, but you need to get some pre-marriage counseling just to know that We got to figure these issues out now. I'm not going to go into this thing thinking just because we got this lavish wedding that everything else is going to go away, because no, I got to spend the rest of my life with you. The way that happens successfully is when we address the issues at the root, right? At the root. Because if it's not at the root, then it means it's just growing further and further, little by little. And every time we bring it up, it further divides us. This right here isn't going to wreck your home. But let me tell you what's going to, though. It's the lack of respect. It's the lack of boundaries that y'all didn't set. It's the fact that you kept forgiving somebody, quote unquote forgiving, but not forgetting about the fact that this man or this woman kept disrespecting you. But you said, I'm going to let you get by this one time. But that one time has become 1/1,000,000th of a time because you keep forgiving, because you think that that person really loves you, but they wouldn't keep hurting you over and over again. Make it make sense, y'all. That's all I have to say. In my generation and in other generations as well, social media has really been the culprit and the make and break of a lot of relationships. Do not let social media be the blame of why these relationships have gone astray. It's the users that are signing up for these accounts and following all different types of people. Just click and follow on any and everything that looks good. That doesn't mean it's good for you. It doesn't mean that it's feeding you. And if you know that you're somebody that's struggling with that, then you got to seek some help. You got to talk with the Lord and find out what's going on. How can I claim to be this Christian woman and I'm living a lifestyle that is not aligning with that? How can I claim to be this Christian man, but I'm over here following all these different women, la-las, and being in la-la land looking at her because I can't control my lust on this platform? That's still cheating. Whether the girl want to call it out or not, it's still cheating. Respect, respect, respect. That's the biggest key point I can think of as it relates to this entire episode. If there was no disrespect, there would be no need for her to see if he's respecting her on this platform here, right here. There's no need to see that. If somebody's transparent from the get-go and they continue to show that they're trustworthy, there's no reason to look at this thing. If you know who the female friends are, if you know who the male friends are, you know that these people are not trying to break up what you have built, then there's no reason to have to look through this all the time. You should be able to breathe in, breathe out, knowing that that person is not doing something behind the scenes that's going to come in between what y'all have built. That foundation, which is not built of sand, but of something that's going to last a lifetime. I hope y'all were able to learn something from this video, y'all. Thank y'all so much for hitting that like button, for sharing with a friend who could benefit from this, or even subscribing to the channel. I appreciate each and every subscriber that I have because y'all are a part of the Chelsea's Live Line community, okay? Well, we're growing over here. So don't subscribe if you're not about to grow, because that's all we're doing over here, spiritually and mentally. We don't have time for play. I'm just saying, ain't got time. I appreciate y'all for being my day ones. I appreciate y'all for just joining the channel. If you just came on here and you're watching this video maybe for the first time, thank you so much for coming on and supporting the show. I appreciate y'all as always. And God willing, I will see y'all on another episode of Chelsea's Live Line. Until next time, y'all, stay blessed and stay safe.